Hi, this is Mrs. Smith, and I'm going to walk you through the identification portion of the first lab chapter. So if you follow along in your lab manual, I'll point to all the structures on the torso model. Starting off, we have this light blue structure, has a shield-like shape to it. This is called the thyroid cartilage. It's light blue because of the cartilage content, and most of our models carry that theme throughout. Directly below the thyroid cartilage is the thyroid gland. It has a butterfly shape to it, light pink and lumpy. Below that, you can see a little bit more of a blue tube with little lines across it. That's going to be the trachea, and I will show you where it continues on down deeper within the thoracic cavity. On this view, you can see the right lung and the left lung. Now I know as you look at the model, your right is over here, but whenever we label left and right, it's always pertaining to the patient, so it doesn't change from a front or an anterior view and a post or back view. So right lung, left lung. If we take those off, we can see the heart a little bit better. And the heart will be centrally located inside the thoracic cavity. We can also take that out. Once we remove the heart, we can see that the trachea continues down to this point and then splits. That split is going to term or give those structures a new name. Over here, this is going to be the right primary bronchus, and then this tube will be the left primary bronchus. They're going to be carrying air into the lungs. Behind that, you're going to see this peach color or light pink colored tube. This is going to be posterior to the trachea. So actually extending all the way from the mouth down to the stomach. That would be the esophagus. If we move down a little bit more, we can see placement of the liver. Above the liver, that separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. This band of muscle is called the diaphragm. Now watch the spelling on that. It's a little bit different. If you take the liver out and flip it over in its posterior view, you're going to see a little green sac. That's going to be called the gallbladder. We store a lot of juices there to help with digestion. We'll remove the liver. And then you can see the stomach. The stomach has a J shape to it, a little bit larger at the top than it is at the bottom. When food comes in, I'm not sure if you can quite see that there, but the esophagus is going to penetrate through the diaphragm and enter in, and you'll see if I take this out, the opening into the stomach is going to be called the cardiac sphincter. Then you have more of the body of the stomach or the whole organ. And then when the food leaves the stomach, the pinched area back here is going to be called the pyloric sphincter. If we open this up, we can also see those sphincters, cardiac and pyloric. And then we also see some texture on the inside of the stomach. Those folds or wrinkles are called rugae, or gastric folds. Either term would be acceptable. Now moving on, the next thing on your list is the small intestine. And the small intestine is small because of the diameter of the tube. It's roughly 20 feet in length. There are three parts to the small intestine. The first one starts right here where the stomach empties into it. That's called the duodenum, or duodenum. Either pronunciation is acceptable. The next part, the upper component here and underneath this fat, that would be the jejunum. And then the lower portion is called the ileum. Also watch your spelling, is I-L-E-U-M. Now after the small intestine, food would enter into the large intestine and then continue its track out of the body. Sticking with your lab manual, one note that this lumpy organ light peach in color. It's actually got a cutaway right here to see inside of it. It's located behind the stomach. This is the pancreas. Starts about in the middle of the body and moves over towards the left side. It will terminate very close to this purple organ being the spleen. That's where a lot of red blood cells will end up going. So looking here, this is your anterior view. Food would have entered into the large intestine, which is everything in gray, through the ileum. At that point, you see the entrance into the large intestine. There's this little backwards pouch, like a little small sac right below the entrance into the large intestine. That's called the cecum. When we look at the progressive movement of food going through the large intestine, as it goes up, this segment here is called the ascending colon. As it goes across, we have the transverse colon. And then on the other side, we have the descending colon. Food will come down. Now, to see the other parts, I'm going to have to remove this from the torso. Big thing to stick. There you go. So the descending colon will turn and wiggle around, and it's really just coming down, in, and back. This is called the sigmoid colon. So it has an S shape to it. And then another thing is, if you go back to the beginning where the cecum is found, if you look underneath that, or I'm just going to flip it all the way around, you look underneath it, you're going to see this little worm-like extension. That's called the appendix. Now that we have the large and small intestines removed, you can see a little bit deeper into the abdominal pelvic cavity. At this point, you can see the kidneys. They're a paired organ. The adrenal glands, they're sitting on top of them, slightly like a cone shape or a pyramid shape on top of the kidneys. The peach-colored tubes that are running down from the kidneys, and they sort of disappear here, but they continue to go down, are going to be the ureters. They are carrying urine down towards the bladder. Now, on this model, we're actually looking at a female, and you can see that there's a sac-like arrangement here and another one underneath it. In a female, we have the uterus. Males will not have that. So the more anterior or deeper sac is actually the urinary bladder on this model. Looking at the female model, you can see that there are two sac-like organs. The upper and posterior sac is going to be the uterus in the female, and the lower, more anterior sac is going to be the urinary bladder. If I tilt the model slightly towards you, you can see behind the uterus is a round or oval shaped organ, slightly transparent, has a couple bumps on the surface. That is going to be the ovary, the female gonad. Looking at the male reproductive organs, the penis is going to be the external genitalia for the male, and the gamete producing organ, the gonad, would be technically called the testes in the male.